So, normally I review broken old stereos, but today it's gonna be a little different. I'm gonna review my car. That's right, I love stereos, old ones in particular, but I also really love cars. And this is my 2008 BMW E91 3 Series Touring Wagon. This car is awesome. I bought it with a salvage title from a good friend of mine. It's been pretty reliable. I've put about 55,000 miles on it since I've owned it, and it's held its value extremely well. I've noticed that on websites like Cars and Bids and Bring a Trailer, these things, in really good condition and really nice configurations, are bringing about 75% of their MSRP. That's crazy for a car this age to hold its value that well. I also noticed my favorite automotive YouTubers haven't reviewed this car in particular, so I thought, who better than me, a guy with a broken stereo YouTube channel, to show you all what this thing is all about. So let's take a look. So let's talk about the styling of this vehicle. Firstly, I think it is awesome. I think the E9X generation of BMW 3 Series vehicles is really nicely styled, and this car is no exception. On some cars like the Jeep Gladiator and Volvo 240, they will take the same rear door used on the sedan or regular configured vehicle, but not this car. This car has its very own back door, and that contributes to its really good looks and awesome styling.
But what is it like living with one of these vehicles? BMW considers this product the ultimate driving machine, and that is apparent when you look at how the interior is laid out. You will notice there are no cup holders. Well, that's actually not true. The driver's cup holder is right here, very far away from the driver. The passenger has a cup holder also, but this might as well be, two cup holders for the passenger. The driver's not supposed to be enjoying a beverage while they're operating the ultimate driving machine, The controls on this car are fairly simple. My biggest complaint is probably that the volume knob on the stereo is this little tiny thing right here. When I first got this car, I was always going for the driver's side climate control temperature control to adjust the volume on the stereo. Now, as the owner of this car, I don't get to sit back here very often, but there's a very big perk of this vehicle that makes the back seat really nice, and that is this massive sunroof. It opens almost all the way, and when you're back here, you get an excellent view. It's very open back here, and I would really like to be a rear passenger in this car more often, but it's mine, so I'm not. You've also got side curtain airbags right here and here, which is a pretty nice touch for your rear passengers also. And then one cool quirk right here is that you've got cup holders right here. They're okay, they work, but at least they're here. Now there's a lot to like in the trunk space of this car, and that's the whole reason you buy this, right? The wagon's got this nice big trunk, you can fit all kinds of stuff in it. So let's open it up here. Remind me to take this off before I do the driving portion. I don't want to get pulled over. You've got this nice little cargo cover right here. You can just pull it back and put it back there like this. You've also got a net. You've got, I don't know, dogs or something. You can put this thing up. And this whole assembly comes right out. Honestly, I just leave this out of the car the entire time. I put it in this car for the first time in like 4 years just to record this video. It's a cool piece, but it kind of takes away from the true practicality of the wagon. Anyways, once you're back here, you've got all kinds of room. You can go to Home Depot or Lowe's and put just about anything you want in here. Maybe not 8-foot sheets of plywood, but whatever. The seats go down like this. You've got your little levers. Just go like that and push them. No power controls or anything. It's not fancy, but it's quick and it's practical. You just go like that. You've got storage in here, and these little cubbies come out also. This door comes out right here. You've got a little bit of storage, and then this little net thing. I don't know. It's fine. And then to put the seats up, boom, boom, easy. Then if you want to put this guy back in, very easy. Just kind of slide it in, locks right in. And it comes out with these two little push buttons right here. The last cool thing about this hatch area is the glass opens too. And the coolest thing about the cargo cover in the glass is that, did you see that? There's a little tiny control that will open that up when you open the glass. I never use that feature. I never use this rear glass, I just open the entire thing. Maybe I should more often, but that's just how I use it. And of course we gotta talk engine, right? This is the BMW N52 B30 inline-6 engine. It is port injected, and on a good day I can get about 30 miles per gallon on the highway. Otherwise, it's about 18 city. This is a really cool engine for a number of reasons. For one, I believe it is the last port-injected inline-six engine BMW ever made before going to direct injection and turbos. It's also made of a magnesium alloy, the block that is, so it's extremely lightweight. I believe the power numbers on this are about 215 horsepower, 230 torque, nothing too great. However, you can very easily upgrade these with a bolt-on part from BMW. It's called a 3-stage intake, and that'll increase the horsepower to about 240, 250, and get you a lot more exciting of a driving experience. Mated to this engine is a 6-speed automatic transmission, and that is probably the worst part of this vehicle. It's a GM transmission. It's not the most engaging or quick or fun, but in sport mode it can be okay. We're about ready for the drive now, aren't we?
Alright, to start the car, all you gotta do is take your key, put it in this little slot, foot on the brake, and start it up. Okay, let's go for a drive. Now, like I said, it's a 6-speed automatic transmission, and it works pretty well for the most part. It's nothing too special, it's nothing fast, it's not a dual clutch. It's not like these new ZF 8-speeds you keep hearing about. But, it's a perfectly adequate transmission and it works very nicely. The N52, with its 200-ish horsepower, it's perfectly acceptable as a daily driver. You could have a little bit more power, but you don't really need it. So one of the first things you might notice about this car when you get inside of it is that even though it's got almost 155,000 miles and it's coming up on 13 years old this year, it really doesn't feel like it. I mean, I personally changed the shocks on this car. I've done the brakes, I've done the flex disc on the drive shaft. I've done a lot of work on this car myself, and after doing those, typical maintenance items on this car, it feels and sounds awesome. There aren't too many rattles or squeaks. No squeaks, but a few little tiny rattles. But what do you expect? It's basically their Ford Focus, essentially. The audio system, I'm not gonna, play music for you because you won't be able to tell, but the audio system in this car is actually quite good. I think this has the highest level audio system you could get in this car. And when you're playing music loud and it's really bassy music, there are no rattles in this car. You can't hear any rattles from the loud music in particular. I've rented a lot of cars, brand new Toyotas and stuff. I used to do a lot of traveling for work, and I'd rent cars through Enterprise. Not the nicest cars, or Dodge Chargers or whatever, but even those brand new cars, if I wanted to rock out and play a song that was really loud and had a lot of bass, I'd hear panels in the car vibrating. And this thing, at 13 years old, 155,000 miles, none of that. This is their lowest car, but I'll tell you, a Ford Focus doesn't sound like this. $7,000 red line. And that is fast. I didn't get there that fast, but I mean, that's a great sound. I love the sound of a good inline six, and this is naturally aspirated, no turbos. It's just good. And we're on the highway right now, and that is probably one of the highest points of this vehicle. It is such a good cruiser. This thing on the interstates is just fantastic. The biggest downside to this vehicle is that it's got pretty low ground clearance. People say, oh, why would everybody buy a crossover when they can get a wagon? Wagons are cool and they're practical. It's yeah, but I'm in central Pennsylvania and I like to go hiking, and there's a lot of roads around here that I would not feel comfortable taking this car on. But that's what contributes to its great gas mileage and how it's so nice and planted on the road out here. I'm not talking very loudly. I'm doing 65 miles an hour. It's just a quiet, nice cruising car. If I were to take this on a twisty, windy mountain road, this thing handles fantastic. I've got Bilstein B4 shocks on it, which is one step up from stock, just a little bit stiffer. Now this specific car in particular is probably the least desirable configuration for this car. You can get this in all-wheel drive and, very notably, a manual transmission. This has neither of those things. Also, it has the screen, and a lot of people don't want the screen. They think that the screen makes it too much, too much tech, too much in your face. If this really were the ultimate driving machine, it wouldn't have that screen. So this also has the screen, and that probably makes this the least desirable E91 you could buy, especially with it being salvage title and having high-ish miles. But you know what? That's just fine with me. I don't think the manuals on these cars feel that amazing. I think they feel kind of like a little toy. The shifter is just too easy to move. It feels like a piece of plastic. That's just my opinion, though. Okay, this is a 30-mile-an-hour suggested speed entrance ramp, and I'm doing this at 50, no problem at all. 55, no problem at all. 60, no problem at all. I mean, it's just hooking. 65, no problem at all. Alright, here we are. Yeah. Good stuff. So, it's just a joy to drive. It's an absolute blast. The values of these things are just ridiculously high right now. And is it ridiculous? Well, you've just seen the video. You've seen all of the benefits you get out of this car for being a wagon. You get the great handling from the E90 sedan and the practicality of a crossover vehicle with that extra trunk space. So, to me, I think the values are reasonable. And especially with the manual transmissions, because if you're looking for that, this is it. This is the last German wagon in North America, or at least the United States, to be offered with a manual transmission. The F31s that came after this, all they had was all-wheel drive 4-cylinder automatics. So this vehicle truly is the last of its kind, at least for now, in this country. And, well, that's why it's so valuable. You can't buy it new. So there it is. That's my first car review. Thank you so much for watching. I have one other car review to do, and that's my engine-swapped Volvo 240. I've got a V8 in that thing. It took me about a year to complete. I'll be releasing a video on that pretty soon. If you're new to this channel, this is not the kind of content that's normally on here. It's normally broken old stereos and me fixing them. I don't know if you like cars and that. Maybe this is the perfect channel for you. So, see you in the next one.